Um, there has been major flooding, historic flooding in the swamps in Louisiana. Um, they're saying that the water rose very quickly, and about 3,500 homes had to be evacuated. Um, and there's been like serious rainfall in and around Shreveport, Louisiana. So they're saying this is like historic flash flooding. So hopefully, you know, people are safe, and it's. I mean, when we talk about climate change, and everyone's like, "Oh, Bernie Sanders is always talking about climate change." I mean, seriously, when you're thinking about, these are areas that already they're below the sea level, they already have issues with flooding and stuff like that. But when they're starting to get more and more storming or higher flooding and stuff compared to what historically happens, I mean, that's one of the concerns and issues that they were worried about preventing more widespread, and so. Um,
Yeah, just on that, before we start the new segment, just
mhm,
a quick discussion on that last Louisiana part is talking about how the disaster of a state that Bobby Jindal has left his successors in Louisiana, withdrawing funding in order to essentially run for president. He strip mined Louisiana to people point about cutting taxes, knowing that by the time the consequences of all that strip mining and tax
yeah,
cutting happened, he would be out. Um, one of the things is cutting funding to land reclamation and wetlands protection, which is crucial to protecting Louisiana from flooding. Um, those type of things done in the name of small government are what cause a lot of these types of problems. And I think knowing that there is a larger political discussion that causes these types of events is important. That's an important context to what's going on there right now.
yeah, definitely. Um, and that conversation though about like some of these governors and like you're saying, like this focus on small government. I mean, we can see the ill effects of that in so many different situations going on across the country. But this is definitely one that I think is very present and easily identifiable.
Yeah,
Um,
like Flint, another one.
well,
Perfect.
Flint, yeah, Flint is definitely another one. I mean, even when we go back to talking about Florida and some of the policies and issues, they're not even permitted to publicly like mention in documents climate change or global warming or statements like that. Like it's kind of ridiculous the extent to which some of these governors are going to, in the sake of small government or supporting business, it's really having serious impacts on everyday life. I mean, this is another reason. Like I know everyone's like, "Oh my God, here she goes again talking about voting." But seriously, this is why we need to get out the vote. This is why we need people registered. This is why we need people active and engaged. Because you have a bunch of people who are in office right now, primarily because we did not put up either a viable challenger or we did not support whatever really great candidate existed to oppose some of these measures. When you look at Wisconsin, you look at the new governor in Kentucky, Bobby Jindal's gone now in Louisiana, but still, his time in office, there's so many, elections and instances. Even when we talk about the gridlock we have right now for Republican Congress, a lot of those elections occurred when there was very low voter turnout, and Bernie Sanders talks about it all the time. When we vote, we win. When we the people are engaged in the process, we really can turn it out and make things better. And it's not naive or idealistic. I mean, it's the truth. So they can't legally get in office without our consent one way or the other. So you might as well participate in the process and actually, make them work for your choice, make them work for your vote.
I mean, he's going to St. Louis soon, and hopefully he visits Ferguson on his
Yes.
trip there. And one of the things he can talk about if he doesn't feel comfortable enough trying to be well within the Black Lives Matter movement or trying to co-opt it or do a photo op with them, he can't. One thing he can talk about is how the movement has moved to transforming the elections in Ferguson, the local elections there in terms of district attorneys, in terms of city councils. They've already begun turning it around and making government more accountable and more representative of the people there. And that's because of people finally deciding that there's a big reason to vote, and it's causing them to increase their voter turnout. And that's big. That I think that's another big. And when he goes to Illinois and Chicago, the fact that he was trying to get Chuy Garcia elected, um, that and if the turnout had been slightly higher, that runoff election would have gone the other way, and so much in Chicago would be different. There's a lot of ways he can talk about to people in real ways in their lives, in their communities, that higher voter turnout changes things.
No, absolutely agree. And when you're talking about, like you just mentioned Ferguson, for example, right? I don't know if everyone saw it, but there was an article a few days ago, a couple of days ago. There